Chapter 31 You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Investigation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Outside the Davis family's castle, two mysterious figures were floating in the sky, quietly overlooking the castle on the ground. It was noon. People were coming and going into the castle. Soldiers were training on the training field, young people training in the meditation room, and servants busy in the kitchen. Looking down from the sky, the entire Davis castle could be seen. Of the two people, one wore a black cloak and a hoodie, concealing himself completely in the darkness. The other person was even weirder. It was noon, and the sun was shining brightly, but it was impossible to see his appearance clearly. When the blinding light shone on his body, it would be directly distorted. So one could only vaguely see that it was a humanoid shadow. These two people were precisely the two mysterious people who had purchased the level 10 alchemist medicine and were looking for Audrey. To fly and float in the sky, they were at least experts above level 50 monarchs. It was fine if Shadowless Ghost Hand had such power. But, unexpectedly, that mysterious young man also had such terrifying power. If his age were really as young as his appearance, then his talent would be too shocking. Even in the entire Jones Empire, there should not be a single genius like him. In the Jones Empire, a battle king was a top expert. Any battle king might have cultivated for more than 100 years. How could they be a young man? Shadowless Ghost Hand said, "Master, after my investigation, that woman named Audrey is the daughter of the current head of the Davis family. What's very interesting is that daughter has a terrible reputation in the Davis family. She is known as the worst trash in the entire family. From the age of 5 until now, she has only cultivated to rank 1. It can be said to be a tragic sight. According to the Leasy Chamber of Commerce director, whose name is Mac, that Audrey's mother left behind a bottle of alchemy potion. However, according to the investigation, Audrey's mother had disappeared more than 10 years ago, and that bottle of alchemy potion was only refined in the last 2 months. Therefore, this statement is absolutely false." The mysterious youth heard this and asked indifferently, "Have you checked who her mother is?" Shadowless Ghost Hand said, "I did, but I didn't find any clues. It seems like this person appeared out of thin air in Spark City and then disappeared into thin air. You couldn't find anything?" The mysterious youth said in surprise. "I couldn't find anything. I didn't find any clues at all. However, according to the rumors in Spark City, Audrey's mother has an extraordinary background. She might have come from a region outside the Jones Empire. If I was given more time, I might be able to find out something." The old servant shook his head gently. His eyes were filled with shame for not being able to do his job well. He had a powerful intelligence organization in his hands that covered the entire Jones Empire. There was almost nothing within the Jones Empire that he could not find out. However, things outside the Jones Empire were not that easy to investigate. It might take some time. There's no need to investigate her mother. There's no need. The mysterious youth shook his head slightly. He had no interest in who Audrey's mother was. He only cared about whether the mysterious alchemist could help her or not. From the looks of it, the mysterious alchemist was definitely not Audrey. How could level 0.1 trash refine a level 0.10 alchemy potion? Learning alchemy also required a high level of cultivation. The higher one's cultivation, the deeper one's field of alchemy could be. Chapter 32 You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Waiting for a rabbit translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. No matter how hard a low-level cultivator worked, it was impossible for him to become a high-level alchemist. Even Shadowless Ghost Hands could only advance to the realm of a Tier 5 alchemist after he became a level 53 monarch. Otherwise, no matter how high his alchemy talent was, he would not be able to refine a Tier 5 alchemy item. Similarly, to refine a level 0.10 alchemy medicine, the alchemist's cultivation had to reach at least tier 5 to have that possibility. Moreover, the alchemist who refined this potion was most likely a high-level tier 5 alchemist, so it was even less likely Audrey. So, that mysterious alchemist should be the person behind Audrey. He's hiding in Spark City and only has contact with Audrey. Shadowless Ghost Hand asked. The mysterious young man nodded slightly. It seems so. Audrey hasn't returned to the Davis family's castle for a few months. So I wonder where she is hiding. The old servant frowned slightly. So they had not found Audrey when they came to the Davis family's castle this time. After investigating, they found that Audrey had not returned to the castle for at least a few months. Instead, she had always been outside. They did not try to force their way into the Davis family as they did in the Lizzie Chamber of Commerce. It was not because the Davis family made them afraid. On the contrary, with their strength, the 5 great families of Spark City were all ants that they could kill with a flip of their hands. The only thing that could be said to cause them to have some misgivings was that mysterious high-level tier 5 alchemist. Those who could become a high-level tier 5 alchemist were at least monarch. They might even be a lord. Moreover, the probability of becoming a lord was very high. After all, anyone who could become a high-level tier 5 alchemist in the Jones Empire was a lord. There were practically no exceptions. Although they were not afraid of a battle emperor, there was absolutely no need to offend him. After all, they had come to seek help this time. Before they could figure out the relationship between that mysterious battle emperor and the Davis family, they naturally would not directly use force as they did in the Lizzie Chamber of Commerce. Let's go. There's no need to continue staying here. It's actually straightforward to find Audrey. We can go to the Lizzie auction house and wait for her. The mysterious youth turned around and left. He did not stay at Davis Castle any longer. Shadowless Ghost Hand's eyes lit up when he heard that. That's right. Since Audrey had taken out that level .10 alchemy potion to sell, she must be in urgent need of money. As long as he waited for her when she went to the auction house to collect the auction money, he would be able to find her. Audrey left early in the morning. She was in a good mood today. The auction house had sent news that her alchemical potion had been auctioned off for a sky-high price of 500,000 gold coins, which surprised her. She had originally thought that the price of 200,000 gold coins was already not bad. 500,000 gold coins were equivalent to a doubling of the price, and it was even more. Under the guidance of a maid, Audrey entered the living room and saw Mr. Mac again. Soon, she realized that Mr. Mac's face had turned much paler after not seeing her for a few days. He looked extremely haggard. "Mr. Mac, how have you been as of late?" Audrey asked tentatively. When Mr. Mac saw Audrey, he wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he forced a smile and said, "Miss Audrey, you're here to collect the auction money. Faye, give the auction money to Miss Audrey." A maid came forward with a tray in her hand. She took out a beautiful blue crystal card from the tray and handed it to Audrey respectfully. Chapter 33. You are listening at novelfull.audio. See you translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Audrey took the crystal card and saw that the number on it was 500,000 gold coins. She could not help but ask in surprise, "Mr. Mac, I don't think you have deducted the commission, right?" According to the rules, the auction house would deduct 10% of the commission. So the final amount that would fall into Audrey's hands should be 450,000 gold coins. Mr. Mac gave a wry smile. He said apologetically, "Miss Audrey, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, our Lizzie Chamber of Commerce has done something that has let you down. This has damaged the reputation of our Chamber of Commerce for nearly 100 years. Therefore, we don't dare to take your commission this time." Mr. Mac's expression was helpless and pained. If he had not met with a life-and-death crisis, why would he betray Audrey? Hearing this, Audrey narrowed her eyes as she vaguely realized something. No wonder she saw Mr. Mac's pale face as soon as she entered. He looked like he was injured. It seemed like she had attracted trouble when she took out the bottle of level .10 alchemy potion to sell. You can leave. I want to talk to this lady alone. A young man walked out from behind the barrier of the meeting hall and waved at the people in the meeting hall. The people of the Lizzie Chamber of Commerce were extremely afraid of this mysterious young man. Therefore, all of them, including Mr. Mac, retreated respectfully, not daring to disobey him. Audrey looked at the young man coldly. She could not see his face clearly because all the light rays within a meter of him would automatically distort and not be able to project onto his body. Therefore, in the eyes of outsiders, the young man in front of her was in a semi-invisible state. However, the strange thing was that she could not see his appearance clearly, but she could clearly sense that he was very young. He might not even be more than 30 years old. He is very strong. Audrey frowned slightly. As a former Saint Magister, a peak level .89 existence, she could faintly sense the cultivation level of this mysterious man. He should be a monarch above level .50. He might even be close to a level .61 lord. It was sporadic to have such strength at around the age of 30. Even if he were ranked in the entire world, he would be a top genius. Of course, if he were to be compared with Audrey, he would be far inferior. After all, when Audrey was 28, she was already 89. She was known as the person who was closest to God. She was already invincible in the entire world. You're looking for me? Audrey asked with a calm expression. You're Audrey. The mysterious man looked at Audrey and asked with interest. He realized that the Audrey in front of him was completely different from the rumors. What was the most famous super trash in Spark City? What was the most useless person in the Davis family for 100 years? What nonsense was spouted? Although he did not deliberately release his aura, he would naturally release an aura that shook people's hearts as a high-level monarch. That kind of aura was able to affect others invisibly, causing people to fear, respect, and submit. Forget about Audrey, even the strongest cultivator in Spark City would be restrained and extremely cautious in front of him. However, at this moment, Audrey was extremely calm. That indifferent feeling was as if she did not feel his existence at all. It had been many years since he had seen such an immovable mountain-like will from a low-level cultivator. Why are you looking for me? Audrey asked calmly. Are you the owner of that level .10 alchemy potion? The mysterious youth asked. That's right. Audrey did not deny it. This person had indeed come to her because of the alchemy potion. She had been careful enough, but she had not expected to attract the attention of others. Chapter 34. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Deal with it. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Miss Audrey, there's only one thing I'm looking for you for. We'd like to meet the master alchemist behind you. So I wonder if Miss Audrey would be willing to help us make an introduction. The mysterious young man asked. Hearing this, Audrey's eyes flashed. It seemed like they did not know that she was the one who had refined this level .10 alchemy potion. Instead, they thought that she had a mysterious and powerful alchemist behind her. After thinking for a moment, Audrey understood the reason. In the eyes of others, she was the worst trash in Spark City. With only level .1 cultivation, she could not refine a level .10 potion. That was why they guessed that she had a mysterious and powerful alchemist behind her. This was good news. If they had such a wrong judgment, then she would be able to manipulate them easily. Then, perhaps she would not have to expose herself. How did you know that I have a powerful alchemist behind me? Audrey pretended to be surprised as if she was very shocked. Audrey's acting was quite brilliant. After all, she had once practiced illusion-type magic and created illusions that were no different from the real world. It was effortless for her just to control her facial expressions and eyes. At the very least, she was sure that the level 50+ mysterious man in front of her could not see any flaws. The mysterious man smiled faintly when he saw Audrey's shocked expression. He stood up from his chair with his hands behind his back and said confidently, "Did you want to lie to us and say that your mother left behind this potion? Unfortunately, such a low-level trick is useless against me. I can accurately determine the time when the potion was refined. If I'm not wrong, the time needed to refine this potion should have been within 2 months. From this, it can be seen that the mysterious alchemist is in Spark City. So there's no need for you to lie to me anymore. Just tell me where the master is." Audrey fell silent as though she was hesitating. The mysterious man said, "You don't have to hesitate. We have no ill intentions toward the master. Instead, we want to ask him for a favor." Audrey said, "The master isn't in Spark City right now. Is that so?" The mysterious man stared into Audrey's eyes. It was obvious that he did not believe her words. Audrey continued, "That master went out to do something. Unfortunately, he won't be back for a month." For now, Audrey could only stall him. The longer she delayed, the more methods she had to deal with him. "Really?" The mysterious man asked again, but this time, it was different from before. A mysterious power emanated from his voice and instantly enveloped the entire living room. After the power appeared, Audrey's body trembled slightly. Then, her eyes gradually became empty, like a soulless doll. "I'll ask you again. Where is the master?" the mysterious man asked. Audrey's expression was dull as she answered subconsciously, "I don't know. He went out and said that he had something to do." The mysterious man frowned slightly. Audrey could not lie in front of his bewitching magic. Could it be that what she said was true? That the alchemy master was really not in Spark City? Did he say when he would be back? The mysterious man continued to ask. Audrey said in a daze, "He did. The master said that it could be as short as a month or as long as half a year." The mysterious man frowned deeply when he heard that. A month was not a problem, but half a year was not something he could wait that long for. Chapter 35. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Back to the Castle Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The mysterious man looked at Audrey deeply, asking some more questions. However, he did not receive much information. Audrey did not know much about the mysterious alchemist. They had met by accident, and the mysterious alchemist had been heavily injured. However, he had been rescued by the kind Audrey. After that, the alchemist had lived in Spark City. This was not much different from what he had guessed. As expected, the mysterious high-level Tier 5 alchemist had lived in seclusion in Spark City because he was in trouble. For Audrey to know such a person, it could only be said that it was a fortuitous encounter. The mysterious man did not continue asking. Audrey was just a minor character, so it was obvious that she did not know too many secrets about the alchemist. He could not get anything out of her even if he continued asking. An hour later, Audrey walked out of the Leasy Chamber of Commerce. She heaved a deep sigh of relief. She had barely managed to muddle through this time. It could be said that she was fortunate. If those people knew that she was the one who had refined this alchemy potion, it would be difficult to predict what would happen. In a world where strength reigned supreme and there were no law restrictions, sometimes being too powerful was a sin. If she only had alchemy skills and did not have the absolute strength to protect herself, then her superb alchemy skills would bring her a dangerous disaster. In the Leasy Chamber of Commerce meeting room, an old servant in a black cloak, who had been hiding in the dark, walked out. He said respectfully to the mysterious man, "Master, it seems that the mysterious alchemist is not in Spark City. What should we do next?" The black-robed old slave did not doubt Audrey's words in the slightest. After all, his master had already cast the bewitching magic. How could a low-level cultivator withstand it? But, even he would find it hard to lie in front of his master's bewitching charm, let alone a little girl. It was also challenging to lie. Since she said that the mysterious alchemist might return in a month, let's wait for him in this small city. If we still can't wait for him to return in a month, then we'll leave this place. The mysterious man thought for a moment and said, a month is not too long for him. We can wait. The black-robed old slave nodded slightly. Then let's wait. A month was not too long for them. If they could wait for the mysterious alchemist, that would be the best outcome. Dnov although he was also a tier 5 alchemist, he could not help his master. This was because he was a materials alchemist, not a potion alchemist. Potion alchemists were very rare. They were one of the rarest groups among all types of alchemists. It was tough to find a tier 5 high-level potion alchemist within the Jones Empire. There was even a high possibility that there was only one tier 5 high-level potion alchemist within the entire Jones Empire. This was because the Jones Empire was too small. To the entire world, it was just a very, very small country. After leaving the Leasy Chamber of Commerce, Audrey did not return to her small courtyard. She was afraid that she would be followed and exposed to the location of her courtyard. Her courtyard had been set up like a blessed land by her. Yet, if it were discovered, the consequences would be unimaginable. A bottle of level 10 alchemy potion could attract the attention of such an influential expert. If it were discovered that she could create a blessed land, a treasured land, or even a holy land, it would shake the entire world. At that time, with her current strength, she probably did not even have the right to choose her fate. Therefore, she planned to return to the Davis family's ancient castle to live during this period of time. Chapter 36 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Internal Family Squabbles Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. At this moment, the Davis family was in a heated argument in the meeting room. I don't agree to send Audrey out for an arranged marriage. Calder sat on the chair in the round table meeting room and coldly rejected the decision of the family council. There were so many women in the direct line of descent in the Davis family. What right did they have to ask his daughter for an arranged marriage? Calder, this matter was decided by the clan assembly through a joint vote. Therefore, it cannot be refuted. Are you going to go against the clan assembly's decision? The 7th clan elder of the clan assembly said coldly. Within the clan assembly's decision was supreme. Even if Calder was the clan head, he could not oppose it. In any case, I don't agree, Calder said. The 3rd clan elder, Houston, came out to mediate the situation. Calder, the Fairley clan isn't a small family. They are the same as our Davis clan, the 5 great clans. So your daughter's marriage isn't a grievance. Moreover, the family's interests are above everything else. As the patriarch, you should put the family's interests first. Calder gave the 3rd family's elder a cold glance and said expressionlessly, Houston, if you think the Fairley family isn't bad, you can let your daughter marry them. If it was a normal member of the Fairley family, he could reluctantly accept it. However, the target of this marriage was the 3rd son of the Fairley family, Marcy, the most famous fool in Spark City. Making Audrey marry him was like pushing her into the fire pit. Houston said calmly, Calder, are you joking? My daughter, Kaki, is a genius ranked in the top 5 of the Davis family. She has a slight chance of becoming a cultivator above level 30 in the future. Even if I were willing, the family council wouldn't agree to marry her off. Don't be unconvinced. It's your daughter's fault for being a piece of trash. Sending her out for a marriage alliance can maintain the marriage relationship between our family and the Fairley family for many years. It can be considered a waste of resources. Boolsh *T, Houston, are you courting death? Calder slammed the table and stood up. Houston's words had completely infuriated him. He almost could not help but directly attack him. I'm not afraid of you. The third clan's old Houston did not show any signs of weakness. Instead, a powerful aura erupted from his body, instantly enveloping the entire meeting room, blowing the furniture in the meeting room to the side. Calder was a level 33 battle heroic. Although he was slightly inferior to Calder, he was still a level 32 battle heroic. Therefore, he was not afraid of Calder. Even if he could not defeat him, he still had the ability to protect himself. When the two families' upper echelons were about to fight in the parliament, the oldest and most senior elder of the family slowly stood up. He released a compelling aura that suppressed the auras of Calder and Houston. Both of you, be quiet. You are the elders of the family. What a disgrace. The elder of the large family, Pierre, was the #1 expert of the Davis family. He was a level 35 battle heroic. He was extremely powerful. With his strength alone, he could deal with Calder and Houston at the same time. Calder snorted coldly and sat down. He did not say anything else. Houston did not dare to act rashly either. Instead, he remained expressionless and didn't say anything. The matter of sending Audrey to the marriage alliance is the family's decision. It's not an individual's decision. As a member of the family, you must obey the family's orders as your highest purpose. As for you, Calder Davis, as the family head, you should have the spirit of sacrifice. Calder did not give up and insisted, Grand Elder, I've already promised Audrey that I won't let her go to the marriage alliance. Chapter 37. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everything was fine. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. In the Davis Castle, in Audrey's small courtyard, the maid, Li-Fei, said happily, Miss, you're finally back. During this period of time, nothing happened in the family, right? Audrey asked. She was afraid that the mysterious young man would find the Davis family. If that happened, it would be troublesome. Hearing this, the maid, Li-Fei, looked hesitant. She wanted to say something but hesitated. When Audrey saw this, she frowned slightly and asked, What's wrong? Did something happen in the family? That mysterious young man would not really come to the Davis family and cause a ruckus, right? With that person's level 50 and above battle monarch cultivation, it was likely that he could exterminate the Davis family with a single move. Li-Fei carefully said, Miss, don't be angry after hearing this. The family council has decided to send you to marry the Fairley family. Moreover, the target of the marriage is that foolish son of the Fairley family. As she said this, Li-Fei carefully observed Miss' expression, afraid that she would not be able to accept it. Is this the only thing? So there aren't any foreign enemies invading the Davis family? Hearing this, Audrey heaved a sigh of relief. Li-Fei did not understand what was going on in Miss' mind. What was the only thing? Could it be that this matter was not serious? She would be sent out for a marriage alliance, and the person to be married is the most famous idiot's son in Spark City. This is equivalent to pushing you into a pit of fire. Your entire life is going to be ruined because of this. How could you react so calmly to such a serious matter? Are there really no foreign enemies invading the Davis family? Audrey was a little worried as she confirmed once again. As for the matter of the marriage alliance with the Fairley clan, she had long known about it. To her, what marriage alliance? What silly son of the Fairley clan? These were all small matters that she had never taken to heart. The true danger was that expert at the monarch level. She did not know his origin or his goal, but he had the power to destroy the entire Spark City. This was a terrifying thing. No. How could an enemy be invading the Davis clan? Our Davis clan is one of the 5 great clans. Who would dare to invade our clan? Are they courting death? Li-Fei was a little speechless, as she said. She felt that the young lady's brain was really too strange. You are about to be married off to your foolish son. You are not in a hurry. Instead, you are concerned about whether your clan has been invaded. The maid thought to herself. Ever since their Davis family became one of the 5 great families of Spark City, it had been more than 100 years since enemies had invaded them. Audrey heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like that mysterious man had not come to Davis Castle. Li Fei, boil some water. I'm going to take a bath, Audrey said. After taking a bath, Audrey walked around the castle. She found that the atmosphere in her family was indeed different from before. Many people looked at her with strange and pitying gazes. Some of them were even pointing at her. Look, Audrey is back. How pitiful. She's about to marry a fool. It's quite tragic. The daughter of the patriarch is actually forced to marry a retard. How tragic. Who can she blame? She can only blame herself. Who told her to be such trash? She's already useless at 18 years old. As long as she has a little talent and the protection of Patriarch Calder, it's impossible to send her out for a marriage alliance. Indeed, she can only be blamed for being a useless piece of trash. A useless piece of trash doesn't have human rights. There were a lot of rumors around her. Audrey was already used to it. Li Fei comforted her, Miss, don't be too anxious. I heard that Patriarch Calder didn't agree to marry you to the Fairley family. He has always been against it. He has already fallen out with the Parliament. Chapter 38 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Father's Difficulties Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Recently, there had been a lot of discussions in the family. Almost all of them were speculating that the Patriarch Calder would not be able to hold his power for long. Because of the marriage, Calder had fallen out with the family council. The elders of the big families had made it clear in the council that they would either let Audrey join the marriage to complete the family's mission or Calder himself would have to step down from the Patriarch's position. This proposal had the consent of almost all the elders in the Parliament. If Calder continued to obstruct the marriage, then at the end of the next month, Calder would most likely be impeached by all the elders and voted to remove his position as the Patriarch. Audrey came to Calder's residence and saw her father, Calder, drinking alone in the courtyard. Father. Dear Audrey, where have you been all this time? When Calder saw Audrey, he happily invited her over to sit. Audrey was already an adult. He rarely restrained himself, but it was not right for her to disappear for so long. At the very least, she had to greet her father or write to him often. I went out to do some work. Audrey sat down on the chair opposite her father. Calder smiled when he heard that. What could Audrey have done? She must have secretly gone out to play. How is it? Have you found someone you like during this period of time? Calder asked. He had previously instructed Audrey to find someone she liked as soon as possible to deal with the Parliament's decision to ask Audrey to marry him. No, it's not that easy to find someone that I like. Audrey shook her head with a regretful look. In fact, she had not gone to find the person at all. There's no rush. Finding the person is such an important matter. We can't be too hasty. You can take your time to find the person you like. It's better to be lacking than to be poor. Calder nodded slightly when he heard that. He actually did not urge Audrey. Originally, he had thought that by marrying off his daughter as soon as possible, he would be able to deal with the Parliament's decision. But now, it seemed like this method would not work. The family would not allow Audrey to marry anyone she wanted. This time, the Parliament was quite determined to send Audrey to marry someone. It seemed like Audrey was the only one who could do it. Calder understood that this was not Audrey's matter anymore. It was a power struggle within the family. Those old fellows in the family council had long wanted to use this opportunity to attack him. Audrey fell silent for a moment, then said, Father, the family council. Calder waved his hand and said calmly, You don't need to worry about the family council's matters. You need to believe that I won't allow you to form a marriage alliance. He would not compromise on this matter. This was his insistence and responsibility as a father. Audrey said, "I heard that you would soon be deposed as the patriarch." Calder smiled and said, "It's all right. In fact, I don't really want to be the patriarch anymore. I'm so busy every day. In the future, I might have more time to accompany you." Calder was very calm about the position of patriarch. He was not persistent. Others chased after power and status, but he was already tired of it. Calder was worried that Audrey would feel guilty because of this matter. Thus, he consoled her, "Audrey, it hasn't been a day or two since they wanted to kick me out of the position of patriarch. This matter is just a fuse. Even if there is no marriage, they will find other things to make things difficult for me in the future. In any case, I won't be able to sit in this position for long. It's the same whether I go down early or late." The only reason Calder was able to sit in the position of the patriarch was because of Audrey's mother. Chapter 39. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Story of Father and Mother Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Back then, Calder was not that outstanding in the family, and the strength of the sixth bloodline was not strong either. It could only be considered to be below average. At that time, regardless of strength or foundation, Calder could not be compared to his other competitors. But why was Calder able to take the position of the patriarch? That was all because of Audrey's mother. Audrey's mother had a mysterious background and was extremely powerful. She was not from Spark City, nor was she from the Jones Empire. Why did she fall in love with Calder and eventually marry and have children with him? It was said that this was a beautiful encounter. Back then, when Calder was on a mission in the mountain range of magic beasts, he accidentally picked up the severely injured and unconscious Audrey's mother. At that time, Audrey's mother was very injured, and she was on the verge of death. However, Audrey's father did not give up. He tried his best to save her. After a few months of careful care and rescue, he miraculously saved Audrey's mother. And after a few months of living together, Audrey's father took care of her meticulously, causing the two young people to have a spark of love. After Audrey's mother married into the Davis family, she quickly displayed her powerful strength. At that time, Audrey's mother was almost the strongest person in the family. No one could match her. In fact, no one in the entire Spark City was a match for Audrey's mother. At that time, the Davis family could be said to be incomparably glorious. For a time, they were almost promoted to the #1 family in Spark City. And the young and promising Calder, who was in the prime of his life, also unquestionably took the position of the patriarch. Unfortunately, the good times did not last long. When Audrey was 5 years old, her mother mysteriously disappeared. No one knew where she had gone, and no one knew if she was alive or dead. After that day, she never returned. Without the support and help of Audrey's mother, the position of Calder's patriarch was not so easy to sit on. And the sixth bloodline they belonged to was weakening at a breakneck speed. In the past few years, some ambitious people in the family had always wanted to drive Calder away from the position of patriarch. This time, they were targeting Audrey to target Calder. But, in fact, it had nothing to do with Audrey. "Father, what if I participate in the 5 families young people competition and get a good ranking?" Audrey suddenly said. This incident was indeed a power struggle within the family, and she was only used as a tool to attack Calder. Audrey had become Calder's weak spot because her talent was too poor, and she was a waste. But what if she was not a waste? She was also a genius of the family and a dazzling genius of the family. Would the family have any reason for her to marry into the family? Since ancient times, it was impossible for outstanding women in the family to marry outside. Marrying outside represented the loss of talent and the loss of experts. Therefore, women with great talent and strength in the family either did not marry or recruited sons. In law. As long as Audrey displayed great strength and talent, according to the rules of her ancestors, it was impossible for her to be married out of the family. Hearing this, Calder shook his head with a wry smile. Audrey, don't think too much. This matter really has nothing to do with you. Even without you, I wouldn't be able to sit in the position of patriarch for long. Audrey was going to participate in the Five Clans competition. That would be a joke. The Five Clans competition was an event jointly organized by the five great families of Spark City. Every 3 years, the five great families would hold the Five Clans competition. At that time, the younger generation of Spark City would be able to participate in the competition. They would compete with each other in the martial arts competition and determine who was better in the arena. This was because the five great families jointly organized the Five Clans competition. It was highly authoritative, and the entire Spark City would pay attention to it. It was the time when the younger generation would become famous. Therefore, almost all the young experts in Spark City would participate. Of course, the young people who dared to participate in the five great races were all experts from the great clans and factions. They were all extremely confident in themselves. If someone like Audrey participated in the five great races, she would probably be a joke. Chapter 40. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Furious Parliament Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Father, I've made up my mind. You don't have to persuade me. Audrey stood up, turned around, and walked out without turning her head. Although the main reason why Calder was targeted by the family parliament was because of the internal strife within the family. But no matter what, she was still a secondary reason. If she was not too useless, the parliament would not have used her as a tool to attack Calder. If she was dazzling enough and powerful enough, she could even help Calder, allowing him to sit firmly in his position as the patriarch. Therefore, the original sin was that she was not powerful enough or dazzling enough. In that case, she would show them how powerful she was and how dazzling she was. Calder looked at Audrey's determined back and was speechless for a long time. He was very shocked. With Audrey's ability, she would probably be defeated by others in the first round if she participated in the Five Clans competition. Thus, she would not even be able to make it through the first round. Under such circumstances, should she still participate? 10 days later, the day of the Five Clans competition gradually arrived. The Davis family's ancient castle was filled with discussions about the Five Clans competition. At the same time, many rumors were spreading. Have you heard? The lineup for the Five Clans Grand Competition this time is unprecedentedly strong. All the famous young experts in Spark City have signed up to participate. I heard that the rewards for this year's Five Clans Grand Competition are 3 times that of the previous one. The reward for first place is desirable. No wonder so many young experts have participated. This year's Five Clans Grand Competition is probably the most lively one in decades. What a surprise! Audrey actually signed up to participate in the Five Clans tournament as well. Someone rode a unicorn and rushed over from outside the ancient castle, spreading the information he had received. What? Audrey signed up to participate in the Five Clans tournament as well. Why did she sign up to participate? Is she going to embarrass herself? No way, no way. The number of young experts in our Davis family who dare to sign up for the Five Clans tournament can be counted on one hand. So what is Audrey going to do? Is she going to embarrass the Davis family? The matter of Audrey going to register for the Five Clans Grand Competition had caused quite a stir in Davis Castle. Many people thought that Audrey was deliberately stirring up trouble. Perhaps they were dissatisfied that the family had sent her to the Five Families Grand Competition to form a marriage alliance, so she deliberately went to the Five Families Grand Competition to embarrass the family. At the family meeting, all 9 elders had come. Elder Pierre was so angry that he overturned the meeting table. Calder, Audrey went to register for the Five Clans Grand Competition. Explain to me what's going on. The great clan elder, Pierre, looked coldly at Calder. Calder said indifferently, I have nothing to explain. This is Audrey's decision. The great clan elder said coldly, immediately tell her to cancel her registration and get the hell back here. Audrey, a level 1 fighter, was going to register for the 5 clans grand competition. That would be extremely embarrassing for the Davis family. What kind of competition was the 5 clans grand competition? It was a competition between the young geniuses of the entire Spark City. If their Davis clan sent a level 1 trash to participate, their clan would become the laughingstock of the entire Spark City the next day. No, it did not need to be the next day. Perhaps they would become the laughingstock of Spark City on the very same day. As if he did not see the fire-breathing eyes of the Grand Elder, Calder continued to speak indifferently, there are no rules regarding who can participate and who can't. It's Audrey's freedom to register or not. Neither my family nor I have the right to interfere. Calder. Audrey is your daughter. She's the daughter of the current patriarch of the Davis family. Her identity represents the Davis family. She can't represent herself. Don't you understand this point? Call her back immediately. Immediately. The Grand Elder was so angry that he was about to explode. He could not even breathe properly. The daughter of the patriarch of the Davis clan had gone to the arena of the 5 clans grand competition to be a clown and a laughingstock. How would the world view the Davis clan in the future? This was too damaging to the reputation of the Davis clan. I'm sorry. This is Audrey's freedom. So forgive me for not being able to do anything, Calder said indifferently.